Does it say? And we're live. Hi.
Yay.
Hey, welcome. So welcome to A Miles Better Conversation, the entrepreneurial series. My name is Colin Miles, aka the Numbers Guy. So each of these interviews is going to last around about 30 minutes and will allow us to get some insights and some tips from my guests. In this series, I'm looking to interview a variety of entrepreneurs from around the world and have them reveal what drives them and how they approach their individual businesses. And I'm really excited to welcome the one and only Faye Chapple to this first live in entrepreneurial series.
Hey, Colin.
Hi, thank you so much for joining me. This is exciting for me as I live. Formal introduction there, but we'll get some flow as it moves forward. So Faye is the founder of the Global Impact Accelerator, and I am so excited to have just completed the program with her, and I'm sure we're going to explain more. She's also the co-founder of On Point Mentors. Again, exciting project, and I'm pleased to be involved with that. And she's also a well-known, renowned speaker and so much more. Thank you again so much for joining us.
Well, I'm excited to be here, Colin.
Cool. So like everything, I'd love to hear a little bit about you and all things Faye Chapple before we leap into my structured Miles Better 10, as I'm calling them. So just tell us a little bit about who Miss Chapple is for the listeners and viewers today.
Yeah, well, so I really spend most of my time helping people to develop their strategies for their businesses and their organizations and giving them a step-by-step roadmap. So, the problem is most people fail because they have great ideas, but they didn't know how to implement them. So that's where I spend most of my days and my hours. And on stage. Back in the days when you could speak on stage, now we speak virtually, which is still okay.
Yes, a different form of speaking, and some people find it's interesting when you talk to people. Some people find it more nerve-wracking doing it like this than they do standing up in front of thousands of people.
Yeah. Well, I think because you're given, when you're going on stage, in advance, right? So you might be nervous for a couple of days, but you know what is coming and you're all dressed, right? And you're ready to go. And sometimes people don't remember that when you're on camera, you have to be this exact same thing. So you have to be ready and dressed. Don't show up in your pajamas, right? So, you look great.
Very smart today, I thought.
It looks great. And then when you show up, so for example, when you're on stage, you don't see yourself, right? You don't see yourself. No. So you're talking away, and now you're on camera on a virtual summit or a live, and you see yourself. And then all of a sudden, you're reacting differently, and that's why people are more scared. But you know what? I've taught speaker training for, 20 years, and it's really just understanding a couple of basic principles and understanding that it's no different if it's on a stage or a video or live in person. True. You just got to be ready.
True. I hadn't really thought of that, but you're right, because there's us in the little thumbnail, and I can see myself doing this, and whereas on stage, I don't really care.
You don't know what you're doing on stage, right?
That's true. And then people, and I say some of the presenting tips I know in some of the training we've done with you is about videoing yourself to see if you've got that nervous twitch or the habit or whatever. So in a way, I suppose the virtual summits are improving our presenting skills. Because
I think so. The more you do lives and the more you do videos, for me, I always encourage people to do lives because then you're good at thinking on your feet. You realize that, you have to be on it. There's no slides that tell you what to do, and there's nothing so if you know some of the strategies so that you don't need slides and you don't need memorization, then you're much, much better prepared and on your feet when you need it most.
True. And I'm sure when we touch a little bit later, there is a pillar inside here that I went through. So I certainly know about that now. So that's cool. Yeah. So thank you for that. So let's leap on into perhaps the first question for the thing. So my first question is, what's currently the biggest challenge you have right now, and how are you going to overcome this?
In my own personal business?
Personal business, personal life, which really it's an insight to you. So perhaps your business, obviously,
Well, my personal challenges have been, for anyone who knows me or has followed me or listened to me speak before, you'll know that we had a significant family tragedy. My husband had a brainstem stroke over 12 years ago and was left severely disabled. So I raised 3 kids basically as a single parent and developed a business and had to look after him, still do full time. So my biggest challenge is always the same. It's the time. It's a time commitment. And so I'm very, very good now at structuring my time when it's needed. And what that does as well as, makes sure that I'm in sync with everything is that it forces me to be good and ready whenever the opportunity comes, because I just can't spend a day, in advance getting used to, oh, I'm going to do this interview. No, I just jump on when it's there because that's the time frame. But the commitment is really my biggest challenge is time. I literally wish there was way more hours in the day so I could do even more, because for those of you who I've ever worked with, that I always come up with all these ideas and then I want to do them, right? And so I'm like, oh, I have another idea. I was talking to my partner in GIA, Stacy, this morning, and I just said, I was texting her and I said, I have an idea, and she's like, kidding.
Yes, I can imagine Stacey going, oh, it's Friday, she's on the idea day, it's had all week to think of these. But I think from working with you myself, I know you have a tip on how to find more time in your day.
Well, I mean, it varies person to person, right? But for me, I schedule everything in. I just look at the calendar. So when I was, when my husband got sick, the youngest was only 4 and I had 2 other ones. And so I needed to put everything in the calendar and just not look up. So if it was in the calendar, I would go to the next step, the next step, the next step, and I would do everything. And by the end of the day, it would get done, because I didn't allow myself the opportunity to say, I'm going to just go have a coffee with a friend or something. If it wasn't in the calendar, I didn't do it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. True. And we have so much going on in our worlds, don't we? That I think, and it's easy to let just the thing you want to do get done first before the thing you really should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember my husband was in sales, and I remember he was one of those sales guys that made the bad calls, when you had to tell your customer the bad news. He would do those at the beginning of the day, right? He would do them right away. I was at the time one of those people that waited till the end of the day, right? Because I didn't want to do it.
Yeah. And then, of course,
so I learned a lot from that, and I realized that, okay, so I kind of took that and put it in my calendar, basically saying, okay, if I just schedule it in, again, I'm not allowing myself to make the decision of when I feel like doing it. If I'll put it in at the start, and then you know what, you have to do it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Cool. Well, thank you for that. So tip number 1 from Ms. Chapple is scheduling. Use that calendar. So that's really cool. And it works, guys. It really does work. I've been a proponent of that a long time myself, but certainly as we add in new things, I can't stress that enough as the numbers guy. I'm working in real time to bring it back to what we do. If you do the numbers now, you don't procrastinate and leave them behind. So great. So cool. Now, it's all about development and moving forward. So how do you continue to learn in order to stay on the top of your game within your role and industry?
Well, I love learning, and you have to love it in order to stay on top. I think the problem with a lot of authority figures, people always think that you're either, you get your degree and you're now an authority or an expert, and you can be, but you're only an expert in that time, right? When you got it. So I'm not really interested in those people. I'm interested in the people that continue to learn. So I'm always watching webinars and watching online courses. I used to love to go to conferences. Hopefully that'll come back soon, but you have to constantly be looking for the latest, greatest thing. And, what could help. And there's a lot of noise out there, so you have to segment it. I use, a lot of people use Blinkist and stuff. I use, it's called Read It For Me. And that's a little digest of books, right? So I can get the really meat of every book, and I don't have to read the whole fluff part, right? And then if I really liked it, I'll go read the book. But a lot of people say, read a book a week. I don't really have that much time, but I can read the shortcuts. So I watch a lot of shortcuts. My favorite place to read is Apple News.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Succinct and to the point, and it allows you to drill in if you're, as you say, if you're interested or want to know a little bit more.
Yeah. So, and I mean, books are great. I love books. I love to read. I just don't have the ability to spend, hours and hours reading one book. So I would rather get, a little bite-sized chunks and be able to use that information. And that's really what I try to do with all the programs I've created, is to take, the most important stuff and chunk it down and be able to say, okay, here it is, do it. Here it is, do it. Right. And I learned from doing it that way.
Yeah, taking action and it builds that memory. All right, so cool. Excellent. So keeping abreast is exciting in your world, and I know obviously from some of the programs I've been involved in, they're always about evolving, and you reference lots of other sort of ports of information and stuff. So cool. Good. All right. So from my perspective as the numbers guy to entrepreneur, most people, when I say numbers, they glaze over, they run for the hills. I'm always intrigued as to why people feel that. So the question is, what's your biggest fear when it comes to your business numbers?
So I think most people, their biggest fear is that they already know the numbers. Let's put that out there. How you're doing. I don't care what you say. You know how you're doing. Are you doing well or not? Right. And I guess the fear is that they actually have to face it. No. Right. It's not that, if you are doing really, really well and it, you can't wait to get to those numbers, right? You're like, oh my God, let me see any metrics. It can, whether it's how many people opted into your lead magnet or how many sales came through, they're good. So you want to go. If you're spending more money than you're bringing it in, you really don't want to see those numbers. So you kind of put it off and say things like, I'm too busy, right? I'll get to it. And I get it. And you have to get to the point where you understand that by looking at those numbers on a daily basis, you'll only get better. And but you have to understand the reality of it. And a lot of people just want to, hide their head in the sand and say, I'm doing okay. When somebody says they're doing okay, it means they're not doing okay.
No, that's true. And that's what I'm tending to find. But also, I think the challenge can be that if money is coming into the bank and money's leaving the bank, you get the perception that things are doing okay.
Right.
Because, I've always got money and, there's always cash in the bank, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
But how much of that cash is really your cash as an entrepreneur to use? Is the cash doing the right thing? Suddenly the cash stops and there's suddenly a load more cash to go out.
Yeah.
That I think is sometimes people, as I say, they don't want to face what is really happening in their business. So cool.
Exactly.
And cool. So how often do you look at your numbers? You work with your CPA on a regular basis, or?
I know my numbers, so I'm on a daily basis. I know my numbers. I don't have to get somebody to show them to me. I keep my QuickBooks going. And
if you're using software, that's already a thing.
It's only because I'm going to tell you the truth. I hate doing I hate it. I was the person, and I, put it in the bag and hand it over. Right here, all my receipts at once at the end of the year. I'm that person.
Right.
And so the better you get it, now that things are easier. So, you take a picture of your receipt and it goes right in, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
life got easier. You don't have to know Excel, so it's better. Am I great at it? No, I'm not.
The very fact that there's an app out there, that that there's QuickBooks, you're not using a shoebox anymore, you're already top quartile, Miss Chapple. So well done when it comes to that.
Yeah, try it.
And in fact, it's quite interesting because when we very first started Miles Better, one of the very first products we created, we called it the Shoebox CFO, which was exactly aimed at people to put stuff in the shoebox and send it to us, really before the act of taking photos. And one client bought a new pair of sneakers, put all his receipts in the box, sent me the box and said, "Can I claim the sneakers too?" And I'm like, "No, but good try." So,
I think it's important. I have a tendency I always forget what I'm buying. So that's when, when you send it over to your finance person and they tell you, but I forget because I buy a lot of software, and it all goes through PayPal or Stripe or goes everywhere. And then, eventually I'll pull the whole reports, but I don't remember because I'm one of those people that gets really excited about, I'm like, okay, I bought it, now let me go do it. And then I forget that I actually have to account for that. So it's like anything, you have to build that muscle and you have to get used to doing it, right? And not hiding your head in the sand.
Indeed. Cool. Good. Well, thank you for that. Next one, a little bit about you personally. So what's the best compliment you've ever received in your business career?
I guess for me, it's always that people are amazed that they actually created what their idea was. They actually implemented it and it worked. Because I already see when somebody comes to me and they have an idea, I already know that they're going to make the idea work, but I see what they're going to do in a year or two from now because I understand where their path goes, right? And I always love it when my clients come back and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe like what you saw happened." Right. And the skill is just about putting together that path for them to follow. Because most people, as I said, have great ideas, but they have no idea how to get it done. And instead of trying to figure it out, they just quit. And that's the sad part because, for me, I see it coming and they're climbing up that mountain and they're there and then they quit just before they get to the top. And it's very sad because every single person has the ability to do really, really well with something in their skills, their abilities, their knowledge, their passion. And they just don't know how to structure it. Right. How do I actually make money at this? And for me, that's the easy part because I can see it.
Right. And I know that's what you talk about a lot in your training and I think the red shoes concept and stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's about the systems and so much so.
Yeah, you have to. And it's not unlike you calling in all the financial pieces. They're systems. They're systems, right? And if you follow the systems, you win. Yes, right? Indeed. But you can't just all of a sudden change it and say, "Oh, I don't care. I'm going to do it this way." Well, there's things in place in the world that don't make it happen.
Indeed. Now, my next question, I somewhat know from your intro, but the question is, what was the driver to take the leap and become an entrepreneur? Because I know I used to work with you in corporate way back.
So we worked together in corporate, but all the time I'm always bored, right? I'm always bored, and that's I understand that about myself. But I was while I was in corporate, I was playing with the internet when it just came out, and I had a newsletter going, and I was selling these weird PDF books that I didn't even know what I was doing. There was a thing called eJunkie that was a cart. It was $5 a month, and people would like download my stuff for like $20-$30 for a PDF book. And I would write as I was on a plane flying to Japan, I'd be writing my newsletter. And it would be just interesting to me that, people from all over the world were sending me notes. And I just thought that was very cool. So I loved the online world. To me, that was fascinating. So when I actually had to leave corporate because of what happened with my husband, I dove right in and said, okay, I don't have any choices now. Now this is going to sustain. This is going to be able to feed my family, because when that happens to you at a young age, all your money's gone. Like you are not prepared for it. There's so many medical expenses. Your money disappears literally overnight. And I still had, 2 kids to put through university and a little guy still. So it was very, very intensive. And all I did literally was, I worked corporate still for a year and a half. I worked, looked after everybody. Because I didn't have any help at the time in the first couple of years. And then I would literally get to my bed at like 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I would open my laptop and I would watch online programs and I would get better.
Right. Okay. I think that's my front door. And we're live. So
hey, I'm at the door.
We'll leave that and see what happens. But I thought I turned off all of the sounds, everybody. But hey,
no problem. That's the real, you know what? I'd rather have real life come in. I'm not really a big fan of these real, sterilized environments, because that's not reality.
No, Indeed, indeed. So thank you for that. So I'm surprised my little dog didn't get very excited. So, you know, the older things. I think there are some fun clips, aren't there, online now of people on interviews and stuff with so many Zoom.
Oh, absolutely.
It's all fun. So I believe life's a journey. My next question 6, we're moving through nicely, is a journey. So who's been your best mentor in your world and why? It could be a personal mentor or a business mentor. I don't mind. Somebody who's had a big influence on you.
Well, I think there's a lot of people online that have influences on me because, you know, I tell this story when I first would open my laptop. And remember, I was it was very intense, my situation at the time. And there would be people that I would watch and well-known names, and that I would like Tony Robbins and Brendan Burchard and Jeff Walker. And I would watch them and they would teach me about online marketing. And then I would watch other people that would teach me a business like Mike Filsame and Andy Jenkins, who made me laugh as they were teaching. And I never had the opportunity because everything was so, you know, heavy. So I looked at all of those, even though I wasn't a one-on-one with them. Those were my mentors, right? Those are my mentors. And then, you know, in corporate life, there was a couple of people that gave me big opportunities and pushed me up on the stage and put me into board meetings, and because they believed in me. And sometimes it takes someone else to believe in you for you to believe in you, right? Yeah, so I encourage people all the time to find a mentor, find a coach, or find an online, you know, program that will give you the belief in yourself and the mindset, because that's the number one thing you need more than anything else. Because if you don't have that belief, if you don't have the right mindset, you will not succeed.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So that's good. And I think being mentors has that leads very nicely into one of your products or one of your businesses by chance. I mean, how did On Point come around? I mean, you know.
Yeah. So you know, it's interesting how when you meet people certain times in your life and you go, oh, I'm going to do something with them. And I met my partner Celia Waterhouse at an event, at a business event. And we just kind of hit it off, and we said one day we'll do something together. And she wanted to do some online mentor portal that she really wanted to be able to reach the customer. And I came at it another way, that I was like, I would really love an opportunity to be able to put something together to allow people to coach properly, because there's so many people out there that are really good at something, and they're just random things. It doesn't have to be business. It could be like knitting, right? But there was no way, they didn't understand how to monetize that. And the thing is, people want that knowledge, right? So we put together a platform that had the ability to, you as a coach would have, you don't have to have any knowledge of tech. And that was important to me. So you would be able to know how to do video calls and gain, you know, and take money and learn how to do everything that is required, right? And on the other side, the client would be able to find local mentors or mentors worldwide that could help them. So we developed On Point Mentors. We're really excited about it. We moved forward and did even more with our mentors. So we do monthly virtual summits. We do panel discussions. So there's lots of free resources for people to watch and learn from. And then there's also opportunities for our coaches to gain exposure on a global platform by being within those virtual summits as well.
Cool. Well, we'll post some of those links at the end when we finish into the comment boxes and various bits. So cool. Yeah. So question 7, what are some of the things you're researching right now? Sorry. What's the latest thing, the latest toy, the latest concept? And I know there's lots in the world. So
so there's everything's coming out at a rapid pace, right? Like it's hard to even understand like what wasn't available a month ago is available now. So I'm notoriously searching for always new softwares and platforms that will cut down my clients, your time frame when it comes to getting online. So I'm a big that's my main business. I obviously consult for a lot of corporate clients as well in the bricks and mortar world, but I love online. And when I can find little snippets of pieces of software that doesn't cost very much and that will completely change someone's life, right? So, right now we're broadcasting through StreamYard, right? StreamYard's a fantastic live streaming platform that can not only live stream to Facebook and YouTube, but then record, and then you can strip it out to do podcasts. So you're using one software, but you're getting multiple applications, right? So I'm all about looking for the shortcuts. I'm trying to hack the rule, right?
Yeah. Cool. No, and your recommendation that we did it on this way, we were going to do a traditional podcast recording, and you suggested it, and I thought, wow, let's go and have a look. And it was, not a very steep learning curve, small learning curve to get it up and running. But you're right. Yeah. We're going to 2 Facebook pages and the YouTube page at the moment. And
then you're going to strip it out, and it'll be in podcast form. So think about it. So you can just do your podcast, which is great, but now think, okay, well, that's only audio, right? But this way, now there's people that don't listen to audio. They're visual learners. They want to see you on YouTube. There's people that only like to watch live streams. They don't like pre-recorded. So you're giving everyone an opportunity to, you're getting those touch points, which is the number one thing you need to do once you get your business model ready, right? You want to get that effect. You want to engage your tribe, your clients, whatever you want to call it, and you're opening it up to any way you can.
True. And it helps increase the frequency, because again, I can probably chop this up, got used to doing that as well, and take each question and make it into this is a snippet of the full interview. Why don't you check it out? Because not everybody will want to listen to 30 minutes or so in one go, but we can perhaps tease them in. So no, really, really powerful tip. So thank you for that. So I had missed that opportunity, and not now. We're on the way. So it's all about taking the action once I've been asked to do something. So,
right.
A little bit of a time machine. We're not going in the hot tub to do that machine. We're just going to go back in time. I know some of the viewers have got them, so that probably will resonate with a few. So if you could go back in time and talk to your 21-year-old self, and what would you say to her?
I would say to, go after what you want to go after, and not worry about whether you think you have the qualifications, or you think you don't have enough authority, you don't have enough experience in it. You can do anything you want to do. It's proven on the internet. I tell a story. I was doing a speaking event at a very, very large stage, and I was getting ready to go. And I think my guy he was 9 or something at the time. So I was going out the door, and he goes, "What are you going to talk about?" And I said, "Oh, we're going to talk about, being able to get what you want to do, like learn it and get it online." And he's like, "You're going to talk about that for a week?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because it's a week conference." I go, "Yeah." And he goes, well, we just look on YouTube and we can do that. I can do that like right away. Right.
And how do you now feel that you're like, okay,
it's a huge, huge learning.
Yeah.
It's a huge learning, tell you one other story quick, just so you understand why I'm saying it. I teach speaking, right? And I was painfully shy. And I realized that part of it is the problem of the parent, right? Because most of us, our child comes to us and they're like, "Oh, I got to do speech." And what's the first thing we say? "Oh my God, I hated speaking." Yeah. So I was very cognizant. I made a mental note of it. When my kids first one came and said, "I have to do speech," I greeted her with, "Oh my God, are you ever lucky? This is fantastic." And so my kids, all 3 of them, are really good speakers, not because I taught them techniques. It's because I didn't allow them fear of the unknown. Yeah. And so if I could talk to myself back then, I would say, don't be afraid to do whatever it is you want, because you have the ability, the skills, the knowledge, the passion. If you don't have it, you'll go learn it. It's not a big deal. And the people that make it are the people that just keep going and not worried about what other people think.
Okay. Well, having met you a fairly few years ago now, I think you've already taken that advice from somebody, because you were fairly fearless when we first met. So you learned that lesson obviously fairly quickly after your 21st birthday, because did well. But no, but interesting. Always interesting to look back and, you know, as you say, face the fear and do it anyway.
Not enough people do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
you think it really.
Colin, you're probably the best, right? If I said, you know, do it on live, you just do it. You don't think about it, you just do it. And that's you know, a quality that a lot of people don't have, right? They don't have, they're afraid to, but I'm not. I just like, what's the worst thing that can happen? You fail. So
Correct.
what? We go on to the next one. Right?
Okay. And in today's cycle of things that it's gone, you know, they're onto something else anyway. So so cool. So if you had to give us one top business tip, what would it be? And I'm no pressure, because if it's really, really good, I might make a video of it and share it.
It's the simplest one that I try to, you know, there's 3 key things that you need to do. Belief in yourself, which we all know, mindset, right? That's number 1. You need to find the knowledge or learn something, right? So take an online program, get a coach, whatever. But the most important out of all that is the 3rd, which is act. Action changes things.
Yeah.
Nothing will change unless you actually do something,
True. Right?
So you can take a million courses, and this is what most people do. If you're watching and you're doing or listening and you're doing this, stop it. They will take courses and they'll say, what do they say? I still need the next course. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I need the next one. I need the next one. That's just going to hold you back. And it's an excuse. That's all it is. It's procrastination, and it's an excuse. You do not need the next program. What you need to do is do something, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like if you're deciding that you want to get physically fit, right? It's not about doing a 60-minute class. It's about doing a 10-minute walk, right? So you got to start somewhere and take action, because what'll happen is if you take action on something, you'll feel good, and then you'll be like, "Ooh, that was good. Let me do some more."
Yeah.
That's it. It's that simple. So forget everything else, guys. You don't need anything else except the ability to say, "I'm going to do something."
Yeah. Small baby steps. It's that first step. Often they say, you know, putting your trainers on is the hardest thing to run a marathon. But that's for the first time. So.
And everyone says this because you can find a million excuses not to do something. Yeah. Trust me. And I'm guilty of it. I always put myself in check. It's very rare that, like, I know if I'm making an excuse, so it doesn't happen that often. And I accept it. If I'm like, I'm too tired, I'm not really tired, I just don't feel like doing that thing, I'll accept it. I'll be like, okay, I just don't feel like doing it. But I'm not gonna, you know, use the I'm too tired excuse, because the truth is, if you have something really important to do, it's amazing that you're not that tired.
Suddenly, if there's a party to go to, if that's what resonates. And I know you have a great concept that you teach called the loser wall for excuses. Put that up there. So if that resonates with some of you guys, then check out some of Faye's training, because it really does hit the point. So cool. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. And so my last question is really a fun question, just to close out. What's your favorite movie and why?
That's a tough one, because it changes all the time.
Right. Okay, well, that's okay. So what is it?
So it's interesting, because I have a friend that watches a lot of Netflix with me. And my favorite movies have depending on my mood, right? So if I need to just laugh or you know, pep up or something, I like things like Love Actually. I love that movie. I know some people don't like it, but but it makes me feel good, right? If I want to disappear, I love Star Wars. Right? I love all those movies. I am a big fan of foreign subtitled movies. There's so many of them that are out there, and I don't think it does it justice for me to say I have one go-to movie, because I don't think I do. I use my movies to change my mood and spirit, if that makes sense. So if you're really down, you watch something that lifts you up, right? If you just want to disappear, you know, or sometimes you need a good cry, watch something that'll make you cry. It's like, you know, there's things that I always, you know, you'll see them on TV and you just keep watching, right? Every time they're on, I'm like that. But I think, you know, is there one that I always watch over and over again? There's a lot of them.
That's fine. And I think you're right. As more films come out, some will take up and some will not. But I think the point of it being very much about how you feel is right. I mean, if you're music can do the same thing. If I ask you,
right. Well, you know what? Every time my go-to in the summertime, my girlfriends and I, we always laugh because we always watch the Mamma Mia movies because it's just singing and laughing and dancing. And so for us, you can sing out loud and it's fun, right? You don't always want to feel that way.
No.
So I think my lesson, I know most people just answer you properly and give you a movie, but my answer for people is always, use it to change your spirit, to change how you feel. Yep. And if make a mental note. If there's a movie that always makes you feel good or makes you happy, watch it when you're depressed, right? Mm-hmm. Or if there's one that gives you inspiration, if you're really down and you're like, you need to see Rocky or something, go ahead and watch it. Like, do something that'll pump you up and make you feel like you can conquer the world. And, it is like music, right? There's songs that you listen to that when you put them on, you're going to a big appointment, you put that music on and you get all excited. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much indeed for sharing some of your thoughts and your background and some business tips, which is obviously what this is all about, and the calendar, scheduling, have somebody in your corner. There were lots of nuggets throughout the conversation, so I do appreciate that. And my concept is very much about trying to help entrepreneurs scale, grow, and profit faster. Well, I think some of those suggestions that you've come up with, certainly they could weave those into that. So
absolutely. That's well, you're doing a great job, Colin. You're doing a great job. I mean, you share so much with so many people, and people can learn so much again for free, right? They can go watch your YouTube channel, listen to your podcast, and that's how I learned, right? And so, just a little plug here for you. I watched free. I watched a lot of free, and then when I learned so much, then I bought programs because then I realized I was like, I owe this person now because I've been watching them for 2 years and they've taught me so much. And it's not about the program anymore. It's about saying, thank you. You've taught me a great deal. And here's my paying it back. Right. So I think you've got so much wisdom and knowledge, and, congratulations on everything you've accomplished in the last year.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, you've been if I was answering the question about the mentor, you'd be in that corner. So I appreciate the support. So if people want to find out more about obviously GIA and OnPoint, we can pop those in the comments. But is there any bonuses if they go at the moment and have a look at either of those? Is there any?
Yeah. So we have a couple of cool things going on with GIA is our Global Impact Accelerator, and it's all about gaining visibility and authority, and then eventually monetizing, right? But it's a whole strategic plan of not, online learning. It's about learn this chunk, and then here's how you implement it, and you're going to do it today. So there's no excuses. So in 8 weeks, you're done, right? So we have a couple of things. You're going to send them a link. I guess you're going to push one on afterwards. And there's a couple of bonuses going on right now where you'll actually be invited into our community and be able to look at what our mastermind looks like for 3 months and get even additional training and one-on-one with us, both Stacy and I, on the Global Impact Accelerator piece. But if you go to Mastermind City as well, you'll find a bunch of other things like our New Year plan and a whole bunch of other stuff that's coming on the pipe. There's a lot of information out there, right? There's a lot of information. So you don't have to come to me and you don't have to come to Colin, but you have to find what's comfortable for you. And if you find somebody, if I've said something that you said, oh, I can relate to that, then come on over, right? If for some reason you'd rather listen to somebody else, cool, go there. But all I encourage you to do is, again, take action, do something. Grab a hold of that program, change your life, change the trajectory that you were planning to go to, because, the world is changing, and it's you have to do it with it, right?
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So thank you. Once again, thank you so much to Miss Faye Chapple, founder of GIA and OnPoint. And I want to thank you all for listening to this episode of A Miles Better Conversation. We'd love to hear your thoughts and comments as well. Anything that resonated from Faye, please comment below, but obviously share it on your social media and like us and follow us along as possible. We'd love you to check back soon for the next episode in the series, as we look to do more interviews. And if you'd like to be involved and sit in a hot seat like Faye has, promise, as you see her, to be nice. We'll have some fun in the conversation. Just drop me a message via the various platforms. That'd be great. As I mentioned right up at the front, I'm making it my personal mission to help as many entrepreneurs in 2021 to become fluent in accounting, the language of business. And I'm going to give myself a plug because it is my podcast and interview. Where we go, let's get it right. There we go. We have the accounting is the language of business from the famous Warren Buffett. And I'm produced a 42-page plain speaking ebook that I'd love you to go and grab by simply visiting lethenumbersdecide.com. And I'll put all of the links that we've been talking about in the comments below. My name is Colin Miles. I'm aka the Numbers Guy, and this has been a Miles Better Conversation. Thank you, Miss Chapple, for your time.
Thank you.